A Korean crime lord destroyed the woman he loved in secret, and 2 years later, he discovered the devastating truth she'd been hiding. But when he finally found her again, what he saw in her arms made his entire empire meaningless. This is the story of the man who ruled the underworld, until he learned what he had truly lost. He didn't sleep anymore. Not since the night he'd made the choice that killed something inside him. Not since he'd looked into her eyes and lied with a voice so cold it could have frozen the sun. Min-jun sat in the leather chair that cost more than most people's homes, staring at the city that feared his name. 32 years old. King of an empire built on silence and disappeared bodies. The kind of man whose footsteps made grown men remember they had families to go home to. But power, he'd learned, was just another word for lonely. Sir. His right hand, David, stood in the doorway like a soldier awaiting execution. The shipment from Seattle cleared. No complications. Min-jun didn't respond. He was watching the rain slide down the window, each drop a small suicide against the glass. Also, David hesitated. Men didn't hesitate around Min-jun unless they valued their tongues. There's been talk about her. The air in the room changed temperature. Her name, Min-jun said quietly, doesn't exist anymore. Understood, sir. But it did exist. It existed in every quiet moment. Every decision he made in the dark. Every time he closed his eyes and saw the way she'd looked at him before he'd shattered her world into pieces too small to ever put back together. Amara. The name felt like a prayer in a language he'd forgotten how to speak. 2 years ago, he'd loved her in the only way a man like him knew how. Desperately, secretly, like she was the last good thing in a world he'd already poisoned. She was a graduate student working at the community center his organization donated to. Beautiful in a way that didn't ask for permission. Her skin was deep bronze that caught light like she'd been dipped in sunset. Her voice warm enough to thaw the ice he'd built around everything soft inside him. She'd smiled at him once, really smiled, and he'd felt something he thought his father's fists had beaten out of him years ago. Hope. But hope was dangerous for men who lived in shadows. So when his enemies found out about her, when they started circling like wolves who'd scented blood, Min-jun made the choice that still woke him up at 3 a.m. with a taste like ashes in his mouth. He destroyed her himself before they could. Framed her. Made her look like she'd been stealing from the community center. Planted evidence so perfect that even he almost believed it. Watched her get arrested. Watched her world collapse. Watched the way she'd looked at him in that courtroom. Not with anger, but with something worse. Confusion. Like she couldn't understand how the man who'd held her so gently could do something so cruel. He'd saved her life by ruining it. Sent her far away where his enemies couldn't reach her. Made sure she'd hate him enough to never come back. It had worked perfectly. And it had destroyed him completely. Sir? David's voice cut through the memory. Your father called. He wants to discuss the territory expansion. Min-jun's father. The original crime lord. The man who'd taught him that love was just another weapon people used against you. Who'd raised him in a world where showing weakness meant showing your throat. Tell him I'll call tomorrow. He said it was urgent. Then tell him it can wait. David left. Smart man. Min-jun stood, walked to the window. 32 floors below, the city moved like a machine. People living lives that didn't require armed bodyguards or coded language or wondering which associate might put a bullet in your brain for a bigger percentage. Normal lives. The kind of life he'd wanted to give her, even if it meant she'd hate him forever. His phone buzzed. A message from Marcus, his information broker. Found something. About the girl. You need to see this. Min-jun's hand tightened around the phone. He'd given explicit orders. No one tracked her. No one even spoke her name. She was supposed to be dead to him, to his organization, to this entire blood-soaked world. He typed back, I don't want to know. Marcus replied immediately, trust me, you do. And that's when Min-jun felt it. The same instinct that had kept him alive through gang wars and federal investigations and assassination attempts. The feeling that his life was about to split into before and after. David! His voice carried the weight of an execution order. David appeared instantly. Sir? Get the car. We're going to Brooklyn. Sir, you have the meeting with... Cancel it. Cancel everything. Min-jun grabbed his coat, the black cashmere that made him look like death in expensive fabric. Now. The drive through Manhattan felt like swimming through concrete. Every red light was a small eternity, every pedestrian an obstacle between him and whatever truth Marcus had found. He told himself it was just information, just another puzzle piece in the empire he'd built. But his hands were shaking. Crime lords didn't shake, fathers did. Though he didn't know that yet. Brooklyn came into view like a different country. Streets narrower, buildings shorter, the kind of neighborhood where his SUV and armed driver drew stares that quickly looked away. Marcus was waiting outside a small cafe, the kind of place that served actual food instead of concepts on plates. He looked nervous. Marcus never looked nervous. "Show me," Minjun said, not bothering with greetings. Marcus handed him a tablet. Security footage. Grainy but clear enough. And there she was. Amara. Still beautiful. Still moving through the world like she carried sunlight in her pockets. But different now. Thinner. Harder around the edges, like she'd been carved out of something that used to be softer. She was walking down a street, grocery bags in her arms, and Minjun watched her like a man dying of thirst watches water. "That's not why I called you," Marcus said quietly. The camera angle shifted. Amara stopped walking, set down her bags, and reached down. Picked up a child, a little boy, maybe 18 months old. With her bronze skin and... Minjun's world stopped rotating. The child had his eyes. His exact eyes. "I ran the timeline," Marcus said, voice careful. "It matches. And I did some digging. She left the city 2 years ago, moved here. There's no father listed on any documents. No partner in her life. Just her and the kid." Minjun couldn't breathe. He'd destroyed her to save her, and she'd been carrying his child the entire time. "Sir?" Marcus sounded far away. "What do you want me to do?" What did he want? He wanted to go back in time and make different choices. He wanted to not be his father's son. He wanted to be the kind of man who could have protected her without destroying her first. But all he said was, "Give me the address." The apartment building was older than his organization. Brick and fire escapes, and the kind of honest poverty that didn't apologize for existing. Minjun stood across the street, watching the third-floor window where a light glowed warm against the evening dark. She was up there. With his son. His son. The words felt foreign. Impossible. Like trying to speak a language he'd never learned. "We could come back," David suggested from beside him. "Give you time to..." "No." Minjun's voice was stone. "I've already wasted 2 years." He'd spent those years building his empire wider, taking territory, making men fear him more efficiently, telling himself it was worth it because she was safe somewhere, hating him, but alive. He'd never imagined this. "Want me to come up with you?" David asked. Minjun looked at him. David was good at his job, which meant he was good at hurting people in ways that didn't show up on X-rays. Not exactly the energy for meeting your secret son. "Stay here, if I'm not down in an hour." Minjun paused. "Still stay here." He crossed the street like a man walking to his own execution. The building didn't have a doorman. Didn't have security. Just a door that barely locked and stairs that creaked like confessions. Each step up felt heavier than the last. 3rd floor. Number 3C. He could hear music inside. Something soft, instrumental. The kind of music people played when they were trying to make a small space feel like home. Minjun raised his hand to knock. And froze. What was he doing? Showing up at her door after 2 years? After what he'd done? After he'd framed her, destroyed her reputation, made sure everyone she knew thought she was a thief? She probably had nightmares about him. And he was about to knock on her door because he'd just discovered she'd hidden his child from him? His child that she'd hidden because he'd destroyed her life? The logic was circular, painful, true. He knocked anyway. Footsteps inside. Light. Quick. Then they stopped, right on the other side of the door. She was looking through the peephole. He could feel her eyes on him. The locks didn't turn. "Amara." His voice came out rougher than he'd intended. "I know you're there." Silence. The kind that's louder than screaming. "I know about." He couldn't finish the sentence, didn't have the right to finish it. "Please, just open the door." More silence. Then, so quiet he almost missed it. "Go away." Her voice hit him like a bullet he'd been expecting for 2 years. "I can't." You're good at doing things you don't want to do. The bitterness in her tone could have stripped paint. You proved that. Fair, accurate, deserved. 5 minutes, he said. That's all I'm asking. You're not asking. You don't ask. You take. You destroy. You make people disappear. Her voice cracked. So why are you still standing there? Why didn't you just break down the door? Because he was trying to be different. Because he wanted to prove something. Because I'm not here as him, Minjun said quietly. I'm here as... He couldn't say it. Didn't have the right. The door opened. Just a crack. Chain still on. And there she was. 2 years had changed her. The softness he remembered had been beaten into something harder, sharper. Her hair was pulled back, severe. No makeup. Eyes that had seen too much and forgiven nothing. She was still the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. You have 3 minutes, she said. Then I'm calling the police, and I don't care who you know. I just found out. The words fell out of him, about our son. Something flickered in her eyes, fear, maybe, or rage, or both. I don't know what you're talking about. Amara, that's not my name anymore. She said it like she was correcting a stranger. I changed it. Changed everything. Became someone you couldn't find. But I did find you. Because you're a monster who has people for that. Her hand tightened on the door. What do you want? Money? You want me to sign something? Agree to disappear again? I want to meet him. The words hung in the air like smoke. No. Simple. Absolute. He's my son. He's my son. Fire now, burning through the fear. You lost the right to claim him when you destroyed me, when you made the whole world think I was a criminal, when you took everything I'd built and burned it down just because you could. I did it to save you. She laughed. It was the saddest sound he'd ever heard. Save me? I lost my job, my reputation, my scholarship. I had to leave the city with nothing, 8 months pregnant, and start over in a place where no one knew my name. Tears now, hot and angry. You didn't save me. You killed who I was. Minjun felt each word like a knife finding exactly where he was softest. They were going to kill you, he said quietly. My enemies. They found out about you, about what you meant to me. So I made sure you meant nothing. Made sure you were too broken, too disgraced, too far away to be worth killing. And you couldn't have just told me? Couldn't have trusted me to run? If I'd told you, you would have stayed, tried to fight, tried to fix it. He looked at her directly. You would have died trying to prove you loved me. Her face did something complicated. I did die, just slower. While carrying your child and wondering how the man who touched me like I was something precious could do something so cruel. Behind her, deeper in the apartment, a small sound. A child's voice, sleepy and questioning. Mama? Amara's entire body went rigid. You need to leave, she whispered. Right now. Please, just let me see him. I won't. Mama? Who's there? And then he appeared, toddling into view behind her legs, rubbing his eyes with small fists. Minjun stopped breathing. The boy was perfect. Bronze skin like his mother. Curly hair that caught the light. And eyes. Dark, intense, knowing eyes that were absolutely, undeniably his. Their son looked up at him through the crack in the door with the same expression Minjun saw in the mirror. The expression of someone who'd already seen too much. Who that? The boy asked, pointing. Amara picked him up quickly, held him against her chest like a shield. Nobody, baby. Just someone who got lost. I'm not lost, Minjun said softly, still staring at his son. Not anymore. Get out. Amara's voice was shaking now. Before I scream, before I make a scene, before your empire finds out you're standing in a hallway in Brooklyn begging. He should leave. Every tactical bone in his body said leave, regroup, plan better. But he'd spent 2 years doing the tactical thing. What's his name? Minjun asked. That's none of your... Please, just his name. Amara looked at him. Really looked. And maybe she saw something that reminded her of before. Before he'd destroyed everything. Elijah, she whispered. His name is Elijah. Elijah. His son's name was Elijah. Mama, I'm hungry, Elijah said, playing with her hair. I know, baby. We'll eat in a minute. The boy looked at Minjun again, studied him with an intensity that was frightening in someone so small. You look sad, Elijah said. Why you sad? Minjun felt something break inside his chest. I am sad, he admitted, because I made a big mistake, and I hurt someone I loved. Mama says when we make mistakes, we say sorry. Elijah, hush, Amara said, but her voice had lost some of its edge. I am sorry, Minjun said, looking at Amara. Sorrier than I have words for. Sorrier than I know how to be. Sorry doesn't fix it. I know, but I'm here anyway. And I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance. A chance at what? Minjun looked at his son. At the child he'd never known existed. At the family he'd destroyed before it could even begin. At being more than what I am. Amara didn't slam the door. That would have been easier. Cleaner. Instead, she just stood there, holding their son, looking at Minjun like he was a math problem that refused to make sense. You can't just show up here, she finally said. You can't just appear after 2 years and expect... I don't expect anything. Minjun kept his voice level, calm. The same voice he used when negotiating with men who had guns pointed at him. But he deserves to know who his father is. His father? Bitterness sharp enough to cut. His father is the man who destroyed his mother, who made sure I'd never work in education again, who took my entire future and lit it on fire. I know what I did. Do you? Do you really? She shifted Elijah to her other hip. The boy was watching them both with those unsettling, knowing eyes. I was 7 months pregnant when I found out I was blacklisted. 7 months. Do you know what it's like to apply for jobs with a belly that big, knowing that no one will call you back because they think you're a thief? Minjun felt each word like a physical blow. I slept in my car for 3 weeks, Amara continued, voice shaking now. Ate at shelters. Cried myself to sleep wondering if my baby would be born in a hospital or a parking lot. All because you decided my life was worth less than your strategy. You're right. Simple, true, irredeemable. Don't do that. Don't just agree with me like it makes it better. What do you want me to say? I want you to feel it. Her voice rose. I want you to actually understand what you took. Not just acknowledge it like a business transaction. I want you to hurt the way I hurt. I do hurt. Minjun's composure cracked. Every day. Every moment. You think I built that empire because I was happy? You think I sleep well knowing I destroyed the only good thing in my life? Mama. Elijah's small voice cut through the tension. Why you sad? Amara took a breath, forced a smile. I'm not sad, baby. Just talking to this man. Talking is good, Elijah said seriously. Miss Rachel says talking helps feelings. Who was Miss Rachel? Minjun felt a sharp stab of jealousy. Some daycare teacher knew more about his son's life than he did. Elijah's right, Minjun said quietly. Can we talk? Really talk? Not in a hallway? No. Amara. I said no. You don't get to be in his life. Not after what you did. Not after... I'm not asking for me, Minjun interrupted. I'm asking for him. He deserves better than a father who's a ghost, who's a question mark, who's nothing. He has me. That's enough. Is it? Minjun looked at Elijah. One day he's going to ask about me. One day he's going to want to know why his father wasn't there. And what are you going to tell him? Amara's jaw tightened. The truth. That his father was a criminal who hurt people. Who hurt me. Then tell him that. But let him meet me first. Let him decide if I'm worth knowing. He's 19 months old. Then let me decide if I'm worth knowing. Minjun stepped closer to the door. I'm not asking to be his father. I know I haven't earned that. I'm asking to be present. To try. Why? Suspicion in every syllable. Why now? Why not 2 years ago when I needed you? Why not when I was alone and scared and pregnant? Because I didn't know. The words burst out of him. I thought I was saving you. I thought sending you away, making you hate me was the only way to keep you alive. I didn't know you were carrying my son. I didn't know I was destroying everything that mattered. Silence. Then, you really didn't know? I swear on everything I am. I didn't know. Amara studied his face. She'd always been good at reading him. It's why he'd loved her. Why he'd feared loving her. "If I let you in," she said slowly, "if I let you meet him properly, you have to promise me something. Anything. You stay away from the life, from your empire, your organization, your father. You don't let any of that touch him, ever." It was asking him to cut off his own arm. The organization was everything, his identity, his power, his protection. But standing there looking at his son in Amara's arms, Minjun realized something. He'd been protecting the wrong thing all along. "I promise." Amara searched his eyes one more time. Then slowly, she unhooked the chain. The door opened wider. "1 hour," she said. "That's all you get tonight." Minjun stepped inside. The apartment was small, clean but clearly held together with determination and prayer. Secondhand furniture, toys organized in cheap plastic bins, a corner that served as kitchen, another as living room. This was where his son lived, while Minjun slept in a penthouse with a view of the entire city. "Sit there." Amara pointed to a worn armchair. "Don't touch anything. Don't make promises you can't keep. And if he gets uncomfortable, you leave immediately." Minjun sat. Amara put Elijah down. The boy immediately went to his toy bin, pulled out a wooden train. "Elijah," Amara said gently, This is a man Mama used to know. His name is Minjun." Elijah looked up, studied Minjun with that unnerving intensity. "You're big," Elijah observed. "I am," Minjun agreed. "Bigger than Mama." "Most people are bigger than your mama." Elijah considered this. "Mama's strong, though. She can carry all the groceries herself." Pride and pain warred in Minjun's chest. "Your mama is the strongest person I know." Amara made a small sound. Not quite a laugh. Not quite a sob. Elijah walked over, train still in hand, stopped a few feet away. "You like trains?" he asked. Minjun had organized weapons shipments on freight trains, had used railway schedules to move product across state lines. "Yes, I like trains. This one's Thomas, he's really useful." "That's good. Being useful is important." Elijah stepped closer, and closer, until he was right in front of Minjun, looking up with those eyes that were a genetic accusation. "Can I tell you a secret?" Elijah whispered. Minjun's throat went tight. "Yes." Elijah leaned in conspiratorially. "Sometimes I wish I had a daddy. Like the other kids at daycare." The world stopped. "Baby," Amara said, voice breaking. "We talked about this." "I know, Mama. I know you're enough. You're lots enough." Elijah looked back at Minjun. "But sometimes I still wish." Minjun couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but look at this perfect child who just casually destroyed him with honesty. "What would you want?" Minjun managed. "If you had a daddy?" Elijah thought about it seriously. "Someone who makes Mama smile. She doesn't smile lots. Only when I do funny things." Minjun looked at Amara. She was crying silently, tears running down her face. "Someone who reads stories," Elijah continued, "and doesn't yell, and helps with the hard jar lids. Such simple things, such impossible things for a man like him. Someone who stays," Elijah finished. "Not like the people who leave." "Has Mama had people who left?" Minjun asked quietly. "Friends. Sometimes they say they'll visit and they don't. Mama says it's okay, people are busy. But I think it makes her sad." 2 years. She'd been alone for 2 years, raising their son, struggling with jar lids and broken promises, and the wreckage he'd made of her life. "Elijah," Minjun said carefully, "if someone wanted to be those things, wanted to try, but they'd made mistakes before, big mistakes, do you think they should get a chance?" Elijah looked at his mother. "Mama says everyone deserves chances, even people who make mistakes." "I say that about you," Amara said, wiping her eyes. "When you break your toys or don't listen. But you said people who are sorry should get chances, not just kids." Amara looked trapped, caught by her own parenting advice. "Did you make mistakes?" Elijah asked Minjun directly. "Yes, the biggest ones possible." "Did you say sorry?" "I'm trying to." "To Mama?" "Yes." Elijah looked at his mother again. "Is he sorry for real? Or pretend sorry?" Amara stared at Minjun. Her eyes were red, her face exhausted, her entire body language screaming that she didn't want to do this. But she'd always been honest, even when it hurt. "I think," she said slowly, "he's really sorry, even if sorry doesn't fix it." Elijah nodded like this made perfect sense. Then he walked up to Minjun and put his small hand on Minjun's knee. "You can try," Elijah said, "but you gotta be nice to Mama. And you can't leave. Leaving makes people sad." Minjun looked at this child. This boy who'd inherited his eyes but somehow kept Amara's heart. This son he'd never known existed until an hour ago. "I won't leave," Minjun said. "I promise." "Okay." Elijah smiled. It was like sunrise. "You want to see my train track? I builded it myself. I would love that." And for the next 45 minutes, Minjun sat on the floor of a tiny Brooklyn apartment and learned about Thomas the Tank Engine. While Amara watched from the kitchen, arms crossed, still not trusting him, but not making him leave. Outside, David waited in the car. The organization sent messages Minjun ignored. His father called twice, and Minjun didn't care about any of it, because he was watching his son play, hearing his laugh, learning that he liked blueberries but not strawberries, that he was scared of the dark but not of spiders, that he could count to 20 but got confused after 14. Small things, everything things. When the hour was up, Amara cleared her throat. "Time," she said. Elijah's face fell. "Already?" "I made a promise to your mama," Minjun said, "and promises are important." "Will you come back?" Minjun looked at Amara. She looked exhausted, uncertain, still angry, but maybe something else too. "If your mama says it's okay," Minjun said. Elijah ran to Amara. "Can he, Mama? Can he come back?" Amara looked at Minjun for a long moment. "Tomorrow," she finally said. "Same time. 1 hour." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a beginning. Minjun walked out of that building into a world that suddenly felt smaller. David was leaning against the SUV, phone pressed to his ear. When he saw Minjun, he ended the call immediately. "Sir, your father's been trying to reach you. "I don't care." David blinked. In 5 years of service, he'd never heard Minjun say those words about his father. "Sir, he says it's urgent. The territory dispute with the Russians, they're moving faster than—" "David." Minjun stopped walking, looked at the man who'd helped him bury bodies and cover tracks and build an empire on other people's fear. "Do you have children?" The question clearly caught David off guard. "No, sir. Never wanted the complications." "I have a son." The words felt strange in his mouth. New, fragile. 19 months old, lives in that apartment with his mother, who I destroyed 2 years ago because I thought I was saving her life. David's face did something complicated. "Sir." He asked me if I like trains. Minjun laughed, and it came out broken. "My son's first question to me was about trains, and I didn't know what to say because all I know about trains is how to move weapons on them." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm tired, David. Tired of being what my father made me. Tired of ruling a kingdom made of blood and silence." Minjun looked back at the building. "I want to be someone my son doesn't have to be ashamed of. That's not possible, not in our world. Then maybe I need to leave our world." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "You can't be serious," David said. "You're the heir. The organization depends on you. Your father will never—" "My father," Minjun interrupted, "built an empire by sacrificing everything human in himself. And I became exactly what he wanted, cold, efficient, ruthless." He met David's eyes. "And it cost me everything that mattered." His phone buzzed again. His father. Third call in an hour. Minjun answered. "You better have a good reason for ignoring me." His father's voice could freeze blood. "The Russians are making moves on our territory and you're unreachable?" "I was busy." "Busy with what?" "I own your time. I own your loyalty. You own nothing of mine anymore." The words came out quiet. Final. Silence on the other end. The kind of silence that preceded violence. "What did you say to me?" "I said you don't own me. Not anymore. I'm done." "Done?" His father laughed. It was a terrible sound. "You're done when I say you're done. You're my son. My legacy. You don't get to just walk away from what I built. Watch me, Minjun. The voice changed. Still hard, but with an edge of something that might have been concern in a different man. What happened? What changed? I found out I have a son. More silence. Longer this time. You have a son, his father repeated slowly. And the mother? Is none of your concern. Everything about you is my concern. Every weakness. Every liability. She's not a liability. She's the woman I love, the woman I destroyed to protect. And our son is the only good thing I've ever created. Love. His father spat the word like poison. I raised you better than this. Love is what weak men die for. Power is what strong men kill for. Then I'm weak. Because I'd burn every piece of this empire to ash if it meant being the father my son deserves. You're being emotional, irrational. Come to the house. We'll discuss this properly. There's nothing to discuss. I'm out. You walk away from this family, from this organization, and you walk away with nothing. No money, no protection. No. Good. I don't want anything that came from blood. They'll kill you. His father's voice went cold. The Russians, the Colombians, every organization that's waiting for weakness. You think you can just retire? Men like us don't retire. We die in power, or we die in the street. Then I'll die in the street. But I'll die as a father first. Minjun hung up. His hand was shaking. David stared at him like he'd just watched a man commit suicide in slow motion. Sir, what have you done? Something I should have done 2 years ago. Minjun looked at his phone. Messages were already flooding in. Associates, allies, people who'd felt the shift in power the moment he'd defied his father. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Disappear my financial accounts. Everything I earned separate from the organization. Move it somewhere my father can't touch it. That's millions of dollars, sir. Your entire personal fortune. I know. Can you do it? David nodded slowly. It'll take some time. And it'll make you a target. Your father will see it as theft. Let him. I'm already a dead man in his eyes. Minjun straightened his shoulders. How long do I have before things get dangerous? For you? Maybe a week before your father makes an official move. For them? David glanced at the building. Your enemies will move faster once word gets out. You've gone soft. Soft. That's what love looked like to men like them. Weakness. Vulnerability. Target. Then I have a week to make sure they're protected. How? Good question. How did a crime lord protect his family after burning every bridge he'd built? I'll figure it out. Minjun opened the car door. Take me home. I have arrangements to make. The drive back to Manhattan felt like crossing a border into enemy territory. Every street corner had eyes. Every shadow had ears. Word would spread before dawn. Minjun defied his father. Minjun has a weakness. Minjun is finished. His penthouse felt like a mausoleum. 32 floors of glass and steel and emptiness. Art he'd never looked at. Furniture he'd never sat on. A life he'd built as a monument to everything except what mattered. He walked to the window. The city glittered below, indifferent to his crisis. Somewhere out there, Amara was putting Elijah to bed, reading him stories. Being everything he needed without empire or power or blood-soaked money. Minjun pulled out his phone, typed a message to Marcus. I need everything. Every enemy who might move on me. Every vulnerability in my protection. Every way someone could get to her and the boy. Marcus replied instantly. You're serious about this? About walking away? Dead serious. Your father will come for you. I know, that's why I need to move fast. What's the play? Minjun looked at his reflection in the window, saw his father's face staring back, the same hard eyes, the same cruel mouth, the same man who'd chosen power over humanity. The play is I become someone different, someone better, someone my son can look at without fear. That's not a strategy, that's a fantasy. Then help me make it real. 1 week. Give me 1 week to make sure they're safe, and I'll walk away from all of this forever. A long pause. Then, you're either the bravest man I know or the dumbest. I'll send you everything by morning. Minjun set down his phone, walked to his bedroom, opened the closet where he kept the gun he'd never had to use because his reputation was weapon enough. He took it out, checked the magazine. fully loaded. Tomorrow he'd go back to that apartment, would sit on that worn floor and play trains with his son, would try to earn back even a fraction of Amara's trust. Tonight, he'd plan for the war that was coming. Because his father was right about one thing. Men like them didn't retire. But maybe, just maybe, they could choose what they died protecting. And Minjun had finally found something worth dying for. He just hoped he'd live long enough to deserve it. Morning came with messages Minjun didn't want to read. His father's associates, circling like sharks who'd scented blood in the water, allies asking for clarification, enemies smelling opportunity. And one message from Marcus, sent at 3 a.m. You need to see this. Now. Minjun called him. Talk, Minjun said. Your father put out feelers. Nothing official yet, but he's asking questions. About your state of mind. About whether you've become a liability. How long before asking questions becomes giving orders? Maybe 3 days. Maybe less if he thinks you're actually serious about walking away. Marcus paused. Are you? Serious? Minjun thought about Elijah's small hand on his knee. You can try, but you gotta be nice to Mama. I've never been more serious about anything. Then you need to move them. Today. Your father already has people trying to identify the woman from 2 years ago. It won't take long. Ice flooded Minjun's veins. How long? Day. Maybe 2. Your father's thorough when he's threatened. Minjun was already moving, grabbing clothes, his secured phone, the cash he kept for emergencies. I'm going to get them now. And take them where? Anywhere you own, your father controls. Any property in your name is a trap. I'll figure it out. With what? Good intentions? Marcus's voice hardened. You're thinking with your heart, not your head. That's how people die. Then I'll die, but they won't. He hung up, called David. I need a car, unmarked, clean plates, and a property off the books, somewhere my father can't trace. Sir, I don't have... David, please. I know you've worked for my father longer than you've worked for me. I know where your loyalty is. But I'm asking you, human to human, help me protect my son. Silence, the kind that meant calculations were being made. There's a place, David finally said. Upstate. Cabin my sister owns. She's in Europe for 6 months. No paper trail connecting it to you or the organization. I need the address. Sir, if your father finds out I helped you, tell him I threatened you. Tell him I've gone insane. Tell him whatever you need to tell him to stay alive. Minjun grabbed his jacket. But please, give me the address. David exhaled slowly. Then he rattled off directions to a place 3 hours north of the city. Thank you, Minjun said. And David? After this, we're done. You don't know me. You never helped me. You're loyal to my father only. Understood, sir. And sir? Yes? I hope you make it. I hope she forgives you. I hope that kid gets the father he deserves. The line went dead. Minjun drove to Brooklyn in the pre-dawn dark. The streets were empty except for delivery trucks and people whose lives started before the sun. He parked 2 blocks away. Watched the building for signs of surveillance. Nothing obvious. But his father's people were professionals. They wouldn't be obvious. He had maybe hours before this whole thing exploded. He took the stairs 3 at a time. Knocked on 3C harder than he meant to. Amara opened the door still in pajamas, Elijah on her hip, both of them looking sleep-confused. Minjun? It's 6 in the morning, what? We need to leave, right now. Her face changed. What? My father knows about you, about Elijah, and when he decides you're a weakness, he'll remove you. That's what we do to weaknesses. We? Fear crept into her voice. You said you were done with that life. I am, but that life isn't done with me yet. Minjun looked past her into the apartment. Pack essentials, 5 minutes. We need to be gone before... Before what? Before your crime lord father sends people to kill us? Before your empire decides my baby is collateral damage? She pulled Elijah closer. This is insane. I know. This is your fault. I know that too. Mama! Elijah was waking up properly now. Why is everyone yelling? Amara took a breath, forced calm into her voice. We're not yelling, baby, just talking loud. We need to go, Minjun pressed. I have a place, safe, off the grid. 3 hours away, just until I can make permanent arrangements. Permanent arrangements? Amara laughed bitterly. You mean until you can pay off Daddy? Hey. Until you can negotiate our lives like a business transaction? I mean until I can make sure you're protected. Both of you. Legally, financially, in ways that don't involve my father or his organization. And you think you can do that? Just walk away from being a crime lord and set up a nice little life for us? I don't know. Honesty. It was all he had. But I'm going to try. Because the alternative is you and Elijah become targets in a war you didn't ask for. Amara stared at him. He could see the calculations in her eyes. Trust versus survival. Anger versus fear. How do I know this isn't a trap? She asked quietly. How do I know you're not taking us somewhere worse? You don't. You have to trust me. Trust you? Her voice broke. You destroyed my life. You framed me. You made me homeless and pregnant and— Mama's sad again, Elijah said, touching her face. Why everyone always sad? And that broke something in Amara's resistance. She looked at her son. Then at the apartment that was clean but threadbare. At the life she'd built from nothing while Min-Jun slept in penthouses. If you're lying, she said quietly. If this is some scheme, some way to control me, then you can kill me yourself. I'll give you the gun. She searched his face one more time. 5 minutes, she said. That's all I need. Amara moved like someone who'd practiced emergency exits. Threw clothes in a duffel bag. Grabbed Elijah's favorite toys, medications, documents from a locked box under her bed. A woman who'd learned to run. Because of him. We're ready, she said. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Min-Jun picked up the bags. Led them down the stairs quickly, quietly. The street was still empty. His car was where he'd left it. Nice car, Amara said flatly. Crime pays, huh? This is the last thing from that life. After today, it all goes back. He put the bags in the trunk, helped Amara get Elijah into the back seat. The boy was confused but trusting, the way children are before the world teaches them differently. Are we going on an adventure? Elijah asked. Yes, baby, Amara said, buckling him in. A big adventure. Is Min-Jun coming? Amara looked at Min-Jun. Apparently. They drove in silence for the first hour. Elijah fell back asleep. Amara stared out the window, jaw tight, arms crossed. You can ask me anything, Min-Jun finally said. I'll tell you the truth. The truth. She laughed without humor. When did you start caring about truth? When I realized lies cost me everything. More silence. Then, how bad is it? Really? My father will send people. Maybe to threaten you, maybe to kill you. Depends on how much he thinks removing you will bring me back in line. Jesus Christ. I won't let that happen. You won't let it happen. Amara turned to face him. You don't get to decide what happens anymore. You gave up that right when you destroyed my life the first time. You're right. Stop agreeing with me. What do you want me to do? I want you to go back in time. Her voice rose. I want you to not have framed me. I want you to not have been a criminal. I want you to be someone normal who met me normal, and we had a normal life where our son doesn't have to run from mafia death threats. Elijah stirred in the back seat. Mama? Amara immediately softened her voice. I'm sorry, baby. Mama's just frustrated. Go back to sleep. Are you fighting with Min-Jun? We're just talking, sweetheart. Loud talking? A little bit, but it's okay. Elijah was quiet for a moment. Then, Min-Jun, are you making Mama sad again? The question hit like a bullet. Yes, Min-Jun said quietly. I've made your mama very sad. For a long time. You should say sorry. I have. Many times. Mama says when we say sorry, we have to mean it. And then we have to do better. From the mouths of babies. You're right, Min-Jun said. Saying sorry isn't enough. I have to do better. Are you doing better now? Min-Jun looked at Amara. She was crying silently, wiping tears she didn't want Elijah to see. I'm trying, Min-Jun said. I'm trying very hard to do better. Okay, trying is good. Elijah yawned. Miss Rachel says trying is how we learn. Then he fell back asleep, leaving the adults in silence. He's so good, Amara whispered. Despite everything, despite me struggling, despite raising him alone, he's so impossibly good. He's like you. Don't. She shook her head. Don't try to compliment your way out of this. It's not a compliment. It's an observation. He has your heart, your kindness. Everything good in him is you. And what did he get from you? Minjun thought about Elijah's eyes, the way he studied things, the quiet intensity. The ability to survive, Minjun said. The ability to see danger and adapt. It's not much. But in this world, it might keep him alive. Amara looked at him. I don't want him to need those skills. I don't want him to grow up in a world where survival is a talent. Then we'll build him a different world. We? She shook her head. There is no we. There's you, trying to fix what you broke. And there's me, trying to keep my son safe from the consequences of your choices. Fair enough. They drove another hour in silence. The city gave way to suburbs, then to trees and open spaces, to a world where crime empires felt far away. The cabin was small, isolated, surrounded by forest. Perfect. This is it, Minjun said, pulling into the dirt driveway. Amara looked at the cabin, then at the trees, then at the complete lack of neighbors. This is where you plan to keep us safe? In the middle of nowhere with no witnesses? I know how it looks. It looks like a place people disappear. Amara. Mama, I need to pee, Elijah announced from the back seat. Practicality over paranoia. Minjun unlocked the cabin. It was basic but clean. 2 bedrooms, small kitchen, fireplace. The kind of place people came to escape the world. They were escaping different things. Bathrooms there, Minjun pointed. Amara took Elijah. Minjun stood in the middle of the cabin and wondered what the hell he was doing. He'd left his empire, defied his father, burned every bridge he'd built. For a woman who hated him, and a son who barely knew him. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Your father knows. He knows about the woman, about the kid. He's sending people to Brooklyn now. We're already gone. Good. But he'll find you eventually. He always does. Then I'll be ready. With what? You're one man. He's an army. Minjun looked toward the bathroom where he could hear Elijah asking Amara questions about why trees were so tall. I'm one man with everything to lose. That makes me dangerous. Or dead. Probably dead. Probably, but not today. He put away his phone just as Amara and Elijah emerged. Is there food here? Amara asked. Elijah needs breakfast. There's a town 10 minutes away. I'll go. You'll stay here. I'll go. Give me the keys. Amara, if someone recognizes you, no one here knows me. Unlike you, I'm not famous in the criminal underworld. She held out her hand. Keys. He gave them to her. She loaded Elijah back in the car. Before she drove away, she rolled down the window. If you're not here when I get back, she said. If this is you dumping us somewhere remote and leaving, I'll be here, I promise. Your promises aren't worth much. I know, but I'm making them anyway. She drove away, leaving Minjun alone in a cabin in the woods, 3 hours from everything he'd ever known. And for the first time in his life, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. Amara came back with groceries and suspicion. I called a friend, she said, unpacking eggs and bread. Told her where I am. Told her if she doesn't hear from me every 6 hours, call the police. Smart. I'm not stupid, just desperate. She looked at him. Why are you still here? Where else would I be? I don't know. Running your empire, killing people who crossed you. Whatever it is crime lords do on Tuesday mornings. It's Wednesday. Even worse. You're missing hump day in the mafia. Despite everything, Minjun almost smiled. You're making jokes. That's new. I make jokes when I'm terrified. Helps with the paralyzing fear. Elijah was exploring the cabin, opening cabinets, discovering the fireplace. Mama, there's wood. Can we make fire? Maybe later, baby. Can Minjun help? He looks like he knows about fire. Amara glanced at Minjun. Oh, he definitely knows about fire. And burning things down. Point taken. They spent the morning in careful orbit around each other. Amara made breakfast. Minjun kept watch out the window. Elijah played with his trains on the cabin floor, narrating elaborate stories about Thomas and his friends. Normal domestic life, if you ignored the loaded gun in Minjun's jacket and the fact that they were hiding from a crime syndicate. Around noon, Minjun's phone rang. Unknown number? He answered. You're making this harder than it needs to be. His father's voice, calm, cold. Come home. We'll discuss this like rational people. I am home. You're in a cabin 3 hours north with your bastard and his mother. That's not home. That's suicide. Minjun's blood went ice. How did you— I know everything, Minjun. I always have. Did you really think David's sister's cabin was off the books? His father laughed. I've known about that property for 3 years. Been very useful for certain activities. Minjun looked at Amara, who was watching him with growing alarm. You have 1 hour, his father continued. Send them away. Come back to the city. Resume your position. We'll forget this embarrassing lapse in judgment. And if I don't? Then I'll be forced to remind you what happens to weaknesses in our world. A pause. That's a beautiful boy, by the way. Has your eyes. Shame if he grew up without a father. The threat was clear, devastating, effective. You touch him. I won't have to touch him. I'll just let nature take its course. Let our enemies know you have a vulnerability. Watch them do the work for me. His father's voice went softer, which somehow made it worse. You're my son, my legacy. I'm trying to save you from yourself. By threatening to kill my child? By showing you the consequences of weakness. You chose this life. You don't get to unchoose it because you accidentally created an heir. He's not an accident? Then he's a mistake. Either way, he's the thing standing between you and your destiny. Minjun looked at Elijah, who was making train sounds, completely unaware that his grandfather was casually discussing his potential murder. 1 hour, his father repeated. After that, I can't protect you from what comes next. The line went dead. Amara stood slowly. What did he say? He knows where we are. Her face went white. He what? He's known the whole time. This was never safe. Oh my God. She grabbed Elijah. We need to leave, now. And go where? He'll find us anywhere. Then we go to the police. We tell them everything. Tell them what? That a man I can't prove is a crime lord made a vague threat? They'll laugh us out of the station. Amara was shaking now. This is insane. This is insane. I should never have trusted you. I should never have— Mama? Elijah looked scared. Why are you yelling? I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. She held him tight. We're okay. Everything's okay. But nothing was okay. Minjun walked to the window, scanned the tree line. Nothing yet, but his father had given him an hour. Professional courtesy before the war started. I need you to do something, Minjun said quietly. I'm not doing anything you say. Take Elijah, drive to the police station in town. Tell them you're in danger. Tell them you need protective custody. You just said that wouldn't work. It'll work long enough. They'll keep you safe for a few days, maybe a week. Long enough for me to— To what? Fight your father? End the mafia? Become a superhero? Minjun turned to face her. Long enough for me to end this. Permanently. Something in his tone made Amara go still. What are you going to do? What I should have done 2 years ago. Make sure you and Elijah are free of this world, no matter what it costs. Minjun, I'm serious. Take him. Go now. Don't look back. Are you? Are you going to kill yourself? The question hung in the air. I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep you both safe. He pulled out his wallet. Inside was a bank card. This account has everything I earned outside the organization. $3 million. The pin is Elijah's birthday. I don't want your blood money. It's not blood money. It's investments, stock portfolio, legitimate businesses I owned separately. It's clean. He pressed it into her hand. Take it. Disappear. Change your names. Start over somewhere he'll never find you. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. This is the world I come from. This is what loving me means. He looked at Elijah. But he doesn't have to live in this world. He can be normal, safe, free. Tears were running down Amara's face. I hate you. I hate you so much. I know. You ruined everything. I know. And now you want me to just take your money and leave while you go die heroically? There's nothing heroic about it. I'm just fixing my mistakes. Stop! Her voice cracked. Stop talking like you're already dead. Stop acting like this is some redemption arc. You don't get to be noble now. You don't get to. Elijah started crying. The yelling was too much. Amara immediately shifted gears, holding him, soothing him. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Mama's just upset. Why everyone fighting? Elijah sobbed. I don't like fighting. I know, sweetheart. I know. Minjun felt something break inside his chest. This child, his son, was crying because of him. Because of the world he'd built. Because of choices he'd made before Elijah was even born. Elijah, Minjun said softly. The boy looked at him with tear-filled eyes. I'm sorry, Minjun said. I'm sorry for making your mama upset. I'm sorry for being scary. I'm sorry for everything. Are you gonna leave? Elijah asked. Like the other people? Minjun looked at Amara. At this woman he'd loved and destroyed. At the life he'd stolen from her. I have to go do something important. But I need you and your mama to be safe first. Can't you do important things here? Not this time, buddy. Will you come back? The question killed him. I don't know, Minjun admitted. But I'm going to try. Elijah wiped his nose. Trying is good. Miss Rachel says, I know. Trying is how we learn. Minjun managed to smile. Miss Rachel sounds very smart. She is. She has a dinosaur stamp and everything. Normal child concerns. Stamps and dinosaurs and teachers who gave gold stars. That's what Elijah deserved. Not this. Amara was watching Minjun with something complicated in her eyes. Not forgiveness. Not love. But maybe. Understanding. If I take him, she said slowly. If I go to the police, get protection, take your money and disappear, what happens to you? I face my father. End this for good. That's suicide. Maybe, maybe not. Minjun. Amara. He looked at her directly. 2 years ago, I destroyed your life because I thought it would save you. I was wrong. I was cruel. I was everything you said. He took a breath. But this time, I'm asking. Not deciding. Not forcing. Asking. Please take our son somewhere safe. Let me fix this my way. Your way ends with you dead. Better me than him. Better me than you. That's not... She stopped. Started again. You don't get to be a martyr. You don't get to sacrifice yourself and call it love. Then what should I call it? Consequences. Call it consequences. Fair. Outside, the sound of cars. Multiple vehicles approaching fast. Minjun's expression didn't change. They're early. Amara's face went white. Oh God, oh God. Back door, now. Minjun pulled out his gun. Take Elijah and run. There's a path through the woods. Follow it north. It leads to a road. I'm not leaving you to... Amara. He looked at her. Please, for once let me protect you the right way. Let me be better than I was. She stared at him. Elijah in her arms. Fear and anger and something else warring on her face. Then she kissed him. Quick, hard, tasting like tears and goodbye. You better survive this, she whispered, because I'm not done being angry at you yet. Then she ran. Minjun watched them disappear into the trees, Elijah looking back over his mother's shoulder, one small hand waving. The vehicles stopped outside. Doors opened. Footsteps. Minjun stood in the middle of the cabin, gun in hand, facing the door. His father's voice called from outside. Minjun, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Harder for who? Minjun called back. For everyone. For you. For the boy. For... He's gone. They're both gone. You're too late. Silence. Then laughter. You really think running will save them? I have resources across 6 states. I have people in every law enforcement agency. I can make them vanish, or I can make them safe. The door handle turned. Your choice. The door opened. His father stood there. 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. Looked like a businessman. Moved like a predator. Behind him, 4 men, armed, professional. Hello, son, his father said. We need to talk about your priorities. And Minjun realized something. He'd spent his whole life afraid of this man. But he wasn't afraid anymore, because he'd finally found something more important than survival. He'd found something worth dying for.